everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 703. Arsenal out, Oasis in. Hello, Big Chillians. Welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are going well. Had a pretty good weekend. Unusual recording time for us, a Sunday recording session.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever done a Sunday before, I think we've done probably every other day of the week.
Maybe we're doing Sunday because we're just anticipating how fun the upcoming Sunday is going to be. So we want this one to be fun as like a prep.
Yeah, it's true. Kind of eased myself into, again, I had the CFL transition back into football mode. Yesterday, I watched a lot of college football.
I've been 3 days worth of college football now.
Yeah, but yesterday, because obviously Paris time zone, I went through to the end of the Arizona game. So
wow, you watched the Arizona game?
Well, I say end. I gave like midway through the fourth when it had gone into like basically blowout mode almost.
You made it further than we did at the stadium. I was at the game and we left by like mid-third quarter.
Because I was watching the end of the UCLA Hawaii game, which would have enraged you. So much positive talk about Hawaii throughout the broadcast. Talk of famous quarterbacks from Hawaii, famous linebackers from Hawaii. One of the commentators, I don't know who either of them were, to be perfectly honest with you, heavily emphasizing, and I respect it, he's trying to say it properly, but going Hawaii, like really leaning into how to say Hawaii. Meanwhile, the other guy just being like, that was a good play from Hawaii. But I saw the end of that game, which was not great, but went down to the wire, and then saw that at the time Arizona were losing as that game finished. So I was like, oh, I'll check this out.
They were never losing.
Really? Weren't they down by a touchdown?
No, they were never losing. Oh, maybe like No, they were always tied at least.
No, in like the second quarter,
tied.
They were like down by 7 at one point, I thought.
I don't know if they were
down.
Maybe.
Because tied it quickly and then went ahead with a field goal or whatever. But yeah, it was. So I watched a little bit of that just because it was like, okay, this probably won't be an upset, but you never know. And, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I had one of my friends had a pretty good parlay ending with the over, which was only 59.5, which was hit by like the second quarter. So he cashed out. So he had two nice bets of the same bet, like just like double. Like one had like the bonus and one didn't have the like whatever the company was giving a bonus. So he cashed out the one and then threw it all back on like what the next over was. And then when that one had like a really good cash out, he then cashed that out and then put it again on the over. So he made like a very, very good chunk of money just like rebetting the over in that game, because that game just like continued to score. Like even the last minute, teams were still scoring touchdowns. It was crazy.
I had a somewhat similar experience to that yesterday morning. Well, actually this morning, betting on Pakistan against Bangladesh in the Test cricket. And I like looked at it. And I was like, oh, the next wicket, it was like the over under 49.5 for the next wicket to fall. I was like, oh, I think it's going to be under. Took the under within 3 balls, player out. I was like, awesome. Go to, you know what? Let me check. What's the under now for the next wicket? 49.5 still for the following wicket. Okay, I'll take the under. 5 runs later, wicket falls. I go, you know what? Let's see this again. What's the over under for the next wicket to fall? 49.5 still. I go, well, gotta do it. Wicket falls before 49 as well. So I won 3 next wicket to fall bets with the same over under, which is kind of ridiculous to not have the number, even have the number reduce as wickets were tumbling. But yeah.
I will say though, he did have a pretty bad beat because pre-game we were all at the bar. And it was the Michigan Fresno State, whatever game. And he took Fresno State plus 16.5. And they scored to make it, I think, like 6 They were down 6, I think. And then Michigan scored to make it 13. And then Fresno State got the ball back and drove all the way down the field to first and goal, and then threw a pick 6, and they lost. And he lost it. That's a rough loss because we all knew of the bet, and then we actually sat in separate seats. So I was talking to my dad, and I was like, well, I think he's pretty good, except if like something catastrophic happened. Like they're going to get the ball back, and either they're going to like drive and score or drive and fail, and Michigan will get it and just run the clock out. Like, barring anything catastrophic, it should actually be okay, and it ended up being the catastrophic thing.
Yeah. No, that's a bad beat. But they kept referring it to as opening weekend of the college football calendar, but obviously it's a little strange because you had a handful of
week
games.
1. No, they call it week 1. And then they call the previous games week 0. That's the official terminology.
Yeah. But pretty much went to form. No, I think
no upsets.
The only real upset that I guess Vanderbilt.
State. Vanderbilt over Virginia Tech.
Yeah, which not a huge
Virginia
upset.
Very good.
I think that's because I chose Vanderbilt as my NCAA football game, and so my contributions to them online are helping them to improve the team in real life. But yeah. Good to have kind of a full Saturday. I'd also had a really full Saturday because Blackburn had been playing the local the East Lancashire derby against Burnley, which was a lunchtime kickoff. Also watched Arsenal against Brighton at the same time. So had football starting at 1:30 my time, and then had sports run straight through to early in the morning. So it was a long day, but Good result for Blackburn in the East Lancashire derby. Still haven't beaten Burnley now since 2010, so it's a long drought. But a decent result against a relegated side, even if Burnley seem to be in a little bit of turmoil at the moment. The bigger surprise, and I guess we can kick off. Well,
let's finish some college football because I just have a few smaller things, and then we can transition in.
All right.
So, the few things I had was I watched most of the Penn State game and then most of the Georgia Clemson game actually on the plane, which is so nice when planes have live TV. And it was nice because I was in first class. So even though it was a 2.5-hour flight, I got served a nice lunch, nice personal pan deep dish meatball pizza with a little side salad. Had a rum and Diet Coke, a cookie. It was quite enjoyable. Little 2.5 hours of watching the game. The people who announced the Penn State game, I can never remember his name, but he's one of the main Fox announcers. He's not like the one, but he's like the second or third in line whenever they do like 2 or 3 Fox broadcasts. That guy loves to get excited and like almost half yell about the dumbest things. It's like every play and just every statement. At one point, I don't know if you watched the game, but at one point he was talking about how they have the new offensive coordinator, Penn State, from Kansas. And he had some stupid Zamboni story about how he used to ride the Zamboni. Did you hear this at all? I don't know if you watched the Penn State game.
Yeah, it's Gus Johnson, right?
I think it is Gus Johnson. Yeah.
Because that's like his thing. The like excited yelling.
He gets very excited, but like it's so dumb. Like he was telling the Zamboni story, and he was like, "And he used to ride the Zamboni 1st and 10 at the 25." It's like, what? Like, why are you yelling? It's like the first play after the kickoff. It's like you don't need to yell. Like he just randomly screams.
It bothers me because I feel like with some. I actually think French commentators are the worst for this, but it's not just them. But part of your responsibility as an announcer or commentator is that the like pitch and volume of your voice is supposed to represent the significance of the play.
Yeah.
So like if I'm not paying attention and I suddenly hear you yelling, I have to expect that something significant has just happened. Not just you're excited because it was a somewhat decent catch to make it 2nd and 5 from their own 35 in a 7-all game in the first quarter.
He does it all the time. And sometimes it's like not even about the play. It's like, and his mother would wash his clothes for him in the locker room. It's like, what?
It's not a terrible Gus Johnson impression in terms of the cadence of his voice. You're actually doing pretty well there.
I've listened. He's done Penn State forever because they're usually on Fox, so I hear him a lot. But so that was kind of fun. And then I think, honestly, Drew Aller for Penn State, I think, is a potential Heisman threat. They have a very easy schedule this year. They have Ohio State home and like USC away. So they have a good chance to make the playoffs, even if they lose to Ohio State. And he looks pretty good. Like he has got a good outside shot. I think he's like 20-1 right now. It's not bad. And then watching U of A, Arizona last night, McMillan, the receiver, is an absolute animal. He's going to be a top 10 draft pick without a doubt this year. He had 305 yards receiving on 10 catches with 4 TDs, and he got stopped at the 1. He would have had 5 TDs, but he got pulled down at the 1, which I actually thought he got in, but he didn't. Looked phenomenal.
Talking of early Heisman talk, we shouldn't ignore the fact I was watching that Vanderbilt Virginia Tech game, and the announcers were making a big deal out of Diego Pavia, the Vanderbilt quarterback, and repeatedly referred to him as a football savant. So I think, or savant, I suppose, for more.
I was going to say, did they say Vant or savant?
And I think, so he should be on the Heisman watch. If you have a footballing mind like he does, you can't leave him off the list, I think.
Even if they only win 3 games?
But he'll do it with brilliance.
That's really all I had, I think, for, like you said, most of this stuff went to form. It was just nice to have football back.
Yeah.
I am out on Colorado. I'm sick already of people saying Colorado they could barely beat a fucking 1AA team, and they shouldn't have won that fucking game. I'm tired of I get it. Like, Deion Sanders loves to promote, and that's great. But at some point, it's like, I don't care about a team that's going to barely finish 500. I don't fucking care.
The tough thing is, though, right? Obviously, it's in the interest of a lot of media companies because people pay attention to them more than they do other programs. So it makes sense to speak about them more. But then also because they're not that great, like winning a close game is more compelling to talk about than if they'd won by 45, So it helps them in a sense. Like, their lack of dominance means that people are more likely to speak about them being good than if they were actually just flat out good. But yeah, I agree with you. It's boring, and we've already had a season of it now. It feels unnecessary until they do something, just like kind of pay attention to the teams that matter a bit more. Unless
barely made a bowl game last year.
Yeah, like unless you're local news, we don't really need to speak about them too much. I
So Shador Sanders, you can get him anywhere about 25-1. It looks like for Heisman. Drew Aller, for reference, is about 30-1 for Heisman, and he's on a team that's probably going to have 1 or 2 losses versus Sanders is going to, again, I think, barely make a bowl game. So the overhype is a little bit much.
Well, according to Deion Sanders, though, right, he's got 2 of the top 4 picks in next year's draft. So, yeah, that's the other thing. I guess the only other part of the football schedule, the college football, the week 1 worth mentioning is just a couple of sort of statement wins. Like for Georgia, obviously, to win in the manner in which they did. Yeah, kind of laying down a marker as the best team probably in football potentially right now, I guess, between them and maybe Ohio State. And then for Miami, the way they beat Florida, that was kind of a statement.
If Florida's any good.
Probably Florida's probably not, but still it was like a lot of people coming into the season talking very positively about Miami. So at least in contrast to like what Colorado do, to at least then go and win a game convincingly is at least saying something.
All right, so now do you want to move on to European football for a little bit?
Yeah, I can do. Obviously, another week, things have gone pretty much to form. The one big surprising thing from the Premier League, Arsenal drawing with Brighton, they were 1-0 up, and then Declan Rice got him sent off. It completely changed the complexion and the momentum of that match. Like, it looked like they were fairly comfortable at 1-0. And then as soon as Declan Rice, and I will be critical slightly of Arteta, Like he had a couple of minutes to react to the fact that they were down to 10 and the momentum had shifted, and he did not make a change fast enough. And by the time he did, they were losing. They had a couple of decent chances at the end to actually snatch the win. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, they're out of the title race.
Ooh, there it is. There it is.
It wasn't even September. And I'm already, because their next two matches, they have Spurs away, City away.
Yeah.
So unless they're going to go and win both of those matches, you're going to talk about them already having dropped points from probably 2 matches, potentially 3 matches by the end of September. And it's just going to become too tough for them. And then you throw in the Champions League is coming. Their start to the Champions League is actually a little tough too, and also with away games. They play Atalanta, I think, in between the Spurs and City match, or maybe just after City, also away. So I just think, it's the conversation we've already had, but City show that you have to be near perfect to really compete with them. And Arsenal, to drop points, Brighton aren't a bad team, but to drop points to Brighton this early in the season, obviously City are going to drop points. It's not as if I'm not saying that like there's no way they can match them, but you also have Liverpool looking very good. And I just think, they have to make up for this somewhere. And I don't know where they're making up for it.
I mean, Liverpool, pretty dominant performance today. Away at United, 3-0. I think, honestly, right now, it's a 2-team race.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do. I know people will think it's kind of clickbaity, hot take stuff to say Arsenal are out of it, but I really do think it's hard to make. Combined, I came into the season with a degree of skepticism, which was in part down to the fact that they continue to not sign like the true goal scorer they need. I know Kai Havertz scored their goal, and he does all right for them in that forward position, but again, deadline day, they go and sign Raheem Sterling. I think Raheem Sterling's a decent player, but they have lots of wide options already available within that team. You're just adding to, they just have this plethora of fullbacks and wide players. And it seems like that's the only thing they kind of know how to sign. And goalkeepers. They're just like swapping goalkeepers. Yeah. Like, let's get rid of Ramsdale and bring in Bournemouth's goalkeeper on loan. Like just to fudge the financial fair play system a bit more and to like just make a somewhat meaningless change in our backup goalkeeper position. But like get an actual true City. We've seen this happen. We saw City go through this same experience, and that's why they went and signed Haaland, because they're like, you know what, Gabriel Jesus will be pretty good, but he's not going to be the thing we need. And Arsenal are like, no, we'll take Gabriel Jesus and we'll do exactly what City did for those couple of years, and but we will refuse to adapt in the way that they did.
I mean, you mentioned now that they went out and got Haaland, and Haaland had another hat trick, back-to-back matches with hat tricks. I want to ask you, Eddie, do you know where that puts him on the list of most Premier League hat tricks?
So I do, because I saw this statistic today, I think.
Damn.
So I think he's third.
He's fourth.
Fourth, because he's got Aguero ahead of, I think Aguero's number 1.
Aguero's number 1, 12 hat tricks in 275 matches.
And I think Shearer's number 2.
Shearer's number 2, 11 hat tricks in 441 matches.
I can't remember who was third. Robbie Fowler, third?
Robbie Fowler is third with 9 in 379. And Erling Haaland is now tied for fourth with 8 in 69 matches. That's fucking insane.
No, I mean, it's incredible.
For reference, he's at 8 with 69. He is tied with Michael Owen at 326 matches, Harry Kane at 320, and Thierry Henry at 258. So you could say Henry is the closest to him in terms of amount per match, and it's still not even really close. 258 matches versus 69 matches. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, if he hangs around City for long enough, right? The big debate is, the all-time Premier League goal scorer record is there for him to break if he's willing to be
by next year.
If he's willing to be in the Premier League for another, let's say a decade. If he's really willing to not see out his career, but play the vast majority of his career in the Premier League, then
What is it? What's the exact number?
259, something like that. I could be off there.
So Haaland's got 70 goals in 69 appearances.
260 is the record. Shearer has 260. So it's 109.
So if he's averaging a goal a match. So he's got to play.
That will slow down.
Oh, don't say that, Eddie. I've heard this before. If anything, it's speeding up at this rate.
That will slow down. I mean, it slowed down last year. Obviously, year 1 was the maximum output I think we'll see from him. Year 2 was a bit slower. This year, I think, for reasons we already discussed, Alvarez leaving is going to help him. Because
this year he's on fucking fire, Eddie.
So far, it's a couple of matches, okay, but Alvarez leaving was definitely going to help him because there's matches he's going to see out now that he would have been substituted from in like last year. But yeah, I mean, if he does another 10 seasons in the Premier League, he'd probably break it before then. I'm not saying, but to be certain, he's got to do 8 to 10 seasons to really be certain he's going to break that record. And which is obviously he's young enough where that's totally doable if he wants to. So it's a question of, does he want to hang around the Premier League for long enough? Does he care about a record like that? Or does he want to go and prove himself in other leagues and win things elsewhere? Obviously, one of the places he was linked to pretty heavily in the past was Real Madrid. And
just add him in there.
Kylian Mbappe going there and Endrick going there. You'd have to say there's probably not a spot available for him at Real Madrid. Not because he's not good enough, but just they have too many players already in those attacking positions. So, unless Mbappe is going to leave early or someone else like Vinicius Jr. is going to leave, then, Real Madrid's not a viable landing spot. So that might be the thing that helps him, is that there's just, where else does he go? Or he does the Raheem Sterling, who's trying to play for every big club in England. Raheem Sterling will now have played for Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, and Arsenal. It's quite remarkable to have played for all of those clubs in a single career. He just needs to do like United to check off the big clubs in England list. But no, I think Haaland, he could break it. And he's going to break that hat-trick record for sure. But the all-time one, it's a lot of goals. There's a lot of people who in the first couple of years, people thought, oh, he'll break the record. Even Harry Kane kind of experienced this. It's like, it takes a long time to get to 260.
It does. So I'm going to ask you now, Eddie, the same question I asked you back in 2022. Does Haaland break the goals record for a season this year? He's sitting on 7 goals in 3 appearances right now. Obviously, his record is 35. Will he beat his own record?
I don't think so. I think the thing that's going to hurt it this year is that the new Champions League format. It's going to be a lot of matches. You got
to play 47 matches to win Champions League now.
Yeah, so I think and we know City do care about the Champions League, and they'll need to care a bit more even during the group stages to be able to ensure that they go through, or not the group stages, but the preliminary stages, however they want to refer to it. So, yeah, I think his league minutes will suffer as a result of that, and so I think breaking that record will be tough.
I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to get 40 in 38 matches.
I mean, he's not playing 38, right? But yeah, out of a potential 38. It wouldn't look. I was always the thing I was doubtful he would break the record in his first season, but I thought Haaland was going to be brilliant. I mean, he's been better than expected, but I'm not surprised that he's the goal machine that he is, just because of how that team. I mean, again, he's a wonderful finisher. Like, there's no doubt his goal scoring ability. There is no one else who is as good at just scoring goals as he is. Just, we need to prepare ourselves, because later in the season, we're going to hear the criticism of him when they go through a little bit of a quiet patch of, does he do enough aside from scoring goals? And the thing he still needs to answer is, will he score goals in big matches, which he has so far pretty much failed to do. But, it's a little easier to score goals for Manchester City than it is to score goals for, Crystal Palace. Like you are being put through on goal and saying, "Hey, go on, finish that." It's a little bit easier than some other. You know, Ollie Watkins is having to work a little bit harder for his goals than Erling Haaland is. I'll put it that way.
Maybe.
Quick U.S. Open catch up, maybe, as we do a little sports roundup. A men's draw that has been sort of just shaken up by upsets. You had Alcaraz going out in straight sets on, what was that, Thursday night maybe, and then Djokovic lost on Friday night. So it's a second week of the U.S. Open that's going to lack a little bit of star power. The stars are aligning for Jannik Sinner post failed drug test controversy to win another major. So things do look a little bit easier for him. The really stunning statistic that came out of that, though, was the fact that with Djokovic losing in the third round, this is the first time at a major since the 2004 French Open that there will not be Djokovic, Nadal, or Federer in the last 16.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, over 20 years without having a major where one of them doesn't feature.
Now, I actually, my question I was going to ask you is, I guess it's slightly skewed because Sinner is still in it and Sinner is number one. But do you like the idea of having this tournament now without Alcaraz and Djokovic, or do you prefer when one of like the big guns is in there? And I guess this, again, you have Sinner in there who's probably playing the best tennis right now, potentially out of all of them. So that's probably not an accurate question, but historically, Sinner hasn't been as dominant as those two have in the past few years.
Yeah, no, I think, me, I like
you like favorites.
I like good teams or good or like dominant individuals doing well. Like I'm not one of those neutrals who wants to constantly see upsets.
You have Ryan Moore's autograph for a reason.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. I don't have any sort of outs. There's times in the tennis, in the past where I might have had like a slight outsider who I really had a kind of fond spot for. I don't really have that at the moment. So when I look at the current list of players who are left, there's not a lot who stand out to me where I think, well, it would be cool if he could do something. I like Alex de Minaur a lot. He's probably the only one. I mean, he's the 10 seed anyway, so he's not a huge outsider. But I just think he makes people, it's remarkable to watch him play and just see the ground he covers and how hard he makes people work to win points. Like you always, growing up and playing tennis, one of the, sort of cliches that always gets thrown out is make your opposition hit one more shot. That's that kind of the thing. If you just, even if it looks like you're losing the point, just like get the ball back in play, make them hit one more shot, even if it's an easy shot. You never know, they'll make a mistake. Alex de Minaur makes you hit like 6 more shots to win a point. It's like playing against a wall at times. So I do. It's not
kind of like Casper Ruud too.
A little bit, yeah. They cover.
When I watch Casper Ruud, there's nothing dominant about him. He's not the best at anything, but he's just an overall like I'll just keep playing and I'll just like eventually outlast you and let you make a mistake.
And it's true. Few things are as demoralizing in a tennis match than feeling like you lost a point where you probably should have won it 2 or 3 times. Like that can be a backbreaker. If you find yourself, you can see games and sets, the momentum within them shift when it's like, hey, it was 40-30. He was serving and, should have won the point. All of a sudden it was deuce and then he got broken. And like you can have the whole match swing just by chasing down these balls. It's not a way I ever really, no surprise, I ever really wanted to play. Like it wasn't my style, but I very much admire someone who can just be like, I will chase every lost cause and do everything I can to put it back in play. I have to admit, Medvedev is kind of having this. His personality is kind of starting to really come through for a guy who was the bad boy of tennis and very unlikable during that initial U.S. Open run he had a couple of years ago. For example, I saw an interview with him where they replayed him complaining about the crowd, like whenever that was, 2021, when he complained about the crowd post-match. And his response to that was, there's a lot of things in my life that I'm not proud of, but I love that. I was just like, just doubling down on that kind of made him more likable. But yeah, to go back to your original point, I do think it makes some of these matches a little bit less compelling. It's a little hard to get excited about
Rublev Dimitrov.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, or Tiafo against Popperin, but basically all of them. Mashak against Draper. It's not super compelling. You can look ahead and think Medvedev Sinner will be an interesting quarterfinal, or Zverev Fritz is a pretty good quarterfinal. But then you
How
also
quick before Medvedev starts accusing him of doping?
I think.
Does he do like the steroid butt shot thing, fake ejection move on him?
It would be interesting. I think the most likely thing from him, you kind of have to want Medvedev to win, because in like the on-court post-match interview, when emotions are running really,
I beat a
really
cheater.
High, that's when you're most likely to get like a wild statement out of him. But no, there's a lot of guys. It's nice to see Dimitrov doing well, having this kind of late career resurgence and getting back into the top 10 in the world. But he's not and it's nice because we had the conversation, one-handed backhands, which are going out of style. He's kind of holding the fort for the one-handers. But yeah, it's not as, like, I look at the women's side and you kind of think of the prospect of Sabalenka, who's the favorite, and then the prospect of, the matchups that you could have on the women's side, which are a little bit more interesting, with either Swiatek or Coco Gauff or whoever it is. The women's draw does feel like it's a little bit more interesting this time around.
Anything else on the sports side?
I guess European football wise, forgot to mention Bayer Leverkusen did finally lose. They just commented that the late show last episode, still their luck was going for them, and they lost to Leipzig yesterday. So first time since May 2023 that they lost a league match. So, which I have to say, I think for them, it's probably disappointing, and you probably have targets of like, let's get to 50 matches, these kind of significant milestones that would be kind of cool. But you probably deep down may be happy that you remove that added bit of pressure. Like, you are going into every match with is this the time they're going to lose? It probably motivates your opponents a little bit more. It maybe even makes you play slightly differently, because the idea of getting a draw and maintaining the undefeated streak might seem more significant than it should be, given the fact that you're expected to be in a title battle with Bayern. But yeah, aside from that, nothing to report.
So before we do our NFL preview next episode, I was going to preview that preview by giving you a little thing I saw on Instagram about the best scoring offenses in the NFL, in terms of like, these are the weapons. What team is going to be unstoppable? So I'm going to run through a few. You tell me which one you like the best, which is, I know already the answer, but whatever. Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Jahan Dotson, and Dallas Goedert at tight end. Chiefs, Mahomes, Pacheco, and then Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy at receiver, and Kelsey at tight end. Dolphins, Tua, and then Mozart and Devon Achane, and then Hill, Waddle, and Beckham as the receivers. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson, and then you have Derrick Henry now at running back, and then you have Zay Flowers, Bateman, and then Mark Andrew and Isaiah Likely as a dual tight end threat there. The up-and-coming Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud, now with Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs to add to Nico Collins, Tank Bell, and Dalton Schultz. I will go. I'll skip the Lions. I'll skip the Bears because I think they have a good team, but I don't think they're there yet. Um, I'll skip the Packers. It's not as exciting. I'll skip the Cardinals. I don't think it's as exciting. I also don't think the Rams and the Falcons. And then I'll end it, obviously, with your pick, which is the San Francisco 49ers at Brock Purdy. And then they have Kyle Juszczyk as a weapon. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. Which one do you think sounds the most scary?
I think there's a couple. I think the Eagles one is scary. I think there's other reasons to be like, there's other parts of the Eagles offense that are concerning. Like, I know we haven't mentioned Bill Simmons in a while. I was listening to his NFL preview. He was being very dismissive of the potential impact that losing Kelsey could have on their offense. Being like, well, what does a center do anyway? It's like, well, Kelsey did all of their line adjustments.
Yeah.
So that seems pretty significant. Like, it's not, I do get his point. A lot of the times it feels like centers are very replaceable. But in this particular instance, he's a super important center. So I'll put the Eagles on the short list. The Niners, yeah, I'll put on the short list. The question mark for the Niners, the thing that holds them back is it's like Brock Purdy is not as scary as some of those other quarterbacks. Like the actual weapons around him are as scary as any of the other teams have to offer. But it's like Purdy doesn't scare you quite as much as Patrick Mahomes. But then none of the weapons that you list for Patrick Mahomes scare me as much as any of the weapons that Purdy has.
Besides Kelsey.
Besides Kelsey, who eventually is going to be too old. You know, like the end for Kelsey is coming at some point.
No, he's just injecting Taylor Swift youth into him.
Okay, like Sinner. And
yeah. I think Houston Texans, if they can stay healthy and it's not like they got lucky kind of thing last year, which I don't think it was. I watched a lot of their games and they did genuinely look good. To add Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon to a team that's only improving with Stroud, Collins, and Tank Dell all being very young, that's a good offense there.
It is. Obviously, you know, I think you were right to leave the Bears off the list just because a couple of the weapons that would be listed for the Bears have never played a snap in the NFL. The same question is still there. Year 2, CJ Stroud, like, is it replicable? Yeah, I agree with you. The Texans are an interesting one. The other issue for them a little bit, and I guess we'll get into this one, our NFL, like Diggs, maybe not the best chemistry guy. You know, like, you have to be a little bit worried about that. Like, there's 2 teams now that have been very happy to get rid of Diggs. And that is meaningful because no one's doubting his talent level. So he is being so disruptive that at a certain point in time, people are like, we know you might be one of the best 3 wide receivers in the league. You're completely irreplaceable from a talent standpoint, but we got to get rid of you. Like, that's, and when one team does it, you can think just bad situation. But now that you've had 2 teams do it, and one of those teams is a Super Bowl contender, like, you have to think that would be my one concern. Like, a team that was so together last year, that could be a disruptive influence. But from a talent perspective, no doubt.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think we'll obviously get into this when we do the preview, but I think the Texans might be one of my picks to make a pretty deep run in the playoffs. And I think a lot of it hinges on the fact that their division is the Colts, Jags, and Titans, which aren't teams that necessarily scare me. So they could go 6-0 in their division. And that's huge there. I mean, a few more wins and they've got a bye in the playoffs maybe. So they could have a good path to make a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. Those teams with easier divisions, like, I think that works in the Niners' favor at the moment. You know, the NFC West used to be terrifying, and now it's a little bit easier, and the path to the playoffs is sort of straightforward, and you're getting a couple gimme wins there with some of the matchups, certainly playing the Cardinals, probably. And yeah, I agree with you. You look at the Texans, they don't have to be that good to get 10 wins. And so their prospects become that little bit easier. Whereas the Eagles or the Cowboys can be pretty good and maybe even miss out on the playoffs if a couple things go badly, if you have injuries at the wrong time. a couple bad beats in terms of how games play out. So yeah, it's obviously a huge advantage. Same with the Bears. People are speaking really highly about the Bears, potential Super Bowl contenders, which is sort of outrageous for a team with a rookie quarterback. But on top of that, it's a pretty tough division. Like you had a Lions team that nearly made the Super Bowl last year, Packers team, which were, improving significantly over the course of the season. So to then just start penciling the Bears in as a playoff team seems a little bit sort of, I'll almost say, insulting to the teams in their division that have been good for, a year or two, if not slightly more. But yeah, the Dolphins of the list too. I think the Dolphins' weapons are pretty scary. And they just suit their style of offense so well. So those are a little bit, they would probably be there. And the Ravens too, especially if the Ravens just double down on the fact that they're basically just going to run the ball almost constantly. Like either Lamar Jackson's running it or we're handing it over to Derrick Henry and he's running it. Like if that's just the approach they take, it's hard to see kind of how you stop them. Like
it's almost like 600 pounds of running.
It will feel like watching a college team where you'd be like, oh, they just ran the ball for 450 yards. Like that's
the issue. I mean, the main issue with that is you have receivers who are going to get really pissed off really quickly. And that could be like a deal breaker. That could ruin the team.
Yeah, and also you have Lamar Jackson, in a sense, almost can Lamar Jackson check his ego. Like as much as he would be still the focal point of the offense and dominant, there'll be people criticizing him of well, he's not a real quarterback. He's not throwing the ball. He's just a running back. It's like almost a wildcat offense. And you need Lamar Jackson to be willing to ignore those sort of doubters and naysayers and just do the thing that makes him special. So yeah, it kind of works. How can you manage a few of those egos? But yeah, that's a scary combination of talent for the way they play.
Yeah. And I guess we should mention, I didn't say in the Niners, Ricky Pearsall, who was injured before, but was now in an altercation where he was shot in the chest in an attempted robbery. It does sound like the reports now are that they were fighting and the gun went off, that he wasn't directly shot in the chest, because then when you see the video, he seems to be walking on his own, and from where he's holding where the wound is, I think if that was a direct shot, it might be a little more serious, but I don't know.
Yeah. The reports are a little bit misleading because I do agree with you. Everyone's like, oh, he's not that injured. Should be okay. This shouldn't actually be too much of an issue, not life threatening. But then I saw his mother came out and made a statement that the bullet had gone through his chest, was how she said. She's like, oh, it went through his chest, but missed every organ and artery and stuff. So lucky, he's very, very lucky, but he's fine.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But she did say it went through him, which is, that's
because in the video, it doesn't look that serious. Yeah, he's walking on his own to the ambulance.
Yeah. But so if she's right and the bullet went through him, but yes, it seems like it was an altercation as the guy was supposedly trying to steal his watch, and both of them ended up getting shot over the course of the altercation. So the guy, the robber, also got shot. So yeah, which, look, I think ultimately the lesson here, it's good that he's just give people the watch. You see enough of these. We have one friend in London, because obviously it's a big issue in London with people trying to steal watches and stuff. Just give the watch. Hopefully have insurance, and then just give the watch up and go get another watch. But getting shot in the chest to try and protect your Rolex doesn't really seem like a smart decision.
And then so I mean, we'll have a full preview for the NFL before the start of the season, which is rapidly approaching on Thursday, and a great Thursday night game to start, which is exciting.
And
Thursday
a great Friday night
tend to be the shittiest of the games, but at least they're going to open up well.
And a great Friday night game. And I've made an awful mistake. I booked a trip. I'm going to Brussels next weekend, and I didn't realize how disrupted this trip is going to have to be by NFL games. It was one of those where you kind of book a trip and you kind of not making the dates correct in your mind when I was sorting everything out in my calendar. And then it's oh no, there's a Friday night game in Brazil. And then there's the Sunday games. I got to catch some of those before I get on the train home. And then on the train home, I'm going to have to stream them while I'm on the train, which is never easy with
No, that's not good. That's not good.
but we'll see how it goes.
Well, will you be
and
home then for the Niners, though, at least on Monday night?
Yeah, I get back Sunday night, so I'll be back for Sunday night football. I'll be back for, and with no issues, Monday night football, and the Monday night game is also super compelling. It's a very strong week one lineup. The Sunday
very
itself,
compelling. How long will Aaron Rodgers last this season? Is a good question.
Probably longer than last season, but we'll see.
Anything else from the sports world?
Oh, one update. I did see, we spoke about the breaking the world record, the repeated breaking the world record. How much money do they make? We had that discussion last episode for the pole vaulting. Turns out there's an incentive offered by the IAAF or whatever, the International Athletics Federation, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
He gets $100,000 from the competition.
Wow.
Like every time he breaks the record. So he's done it 10 times. So he's got $1 million.
Oh, that's worth it.
If you break it in a top tier event. So he has to do it like Diamond League or any of those like world events, then he gets the $100,000 each time he does it. And then on top of it, he has sponsorship incentives that are similar. So it's not just the sponsorships. He's getting $100,000 from that as well. So
then good for him.
Yeah, I can kind of get it. Still, at some point, let's show us how high you can jump. But I can understand it a bit more. But no, I think that's all I got. I got some non-sports topics, but for sports, I think that's about it.
I do as well. I'll start and say I attended the second largest state fair in America, which then I had to learn the history of is actually quite a debate, because while Minnesota ranks second in total attendance behind Texas opens theirs up for an additional, I think, like 3 or 4 weeks. So if you did attendance per day, Minnesota is actually the biggest. But I attended the Minnesota State Fair, and it was fun. I mean, that's like not a New Jersey thing. It's more like boardwalks and stuff like that, I guess would be like the comparable. But it was cool. All the different food choices and like fried foods and new concoctions they had. So this year, the main new one that was the talking point was fried ranch. So basically it was like literally just like a fried little triangle piece that was just ranch in the middle. We did not try that. People have said it's pretty good. I did not try that. I went more traditional. I did cheese curds, and then the little donuts. They have like mini donuts, like Tom Thimbles or something like that. Tom Thumbs donuts, like a very popular thing there. Fried pickles, which were good. And then I did walleye cakes, which kind of like crab cakes or fish cakes, but walleye obviously is very Minnesota. And that was really good too. So food was really good. I didn't do any rides. I didn't do any carnival games either. I thought about it, but it was just kind of late.
You just ate?
Well, no, we walked around and saw everything. And then obviously the other thing with a lot of the state fairs is they have like the agriculture stuff and then like the livestock stuff. So you see like, like who won best in show for the sheep or world's largest pumpkin. So we saw the state's largest pumpkin this year was 1,800 pounds, which is pretty impressive. And then had some they had like some craft brewery like things you could try and stuff like that. So we did a little bit of that. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
Did you go to the Mall of America? Did you really try and...
No, didn't go to the Mall of America. We didn't have time for that. I did find out though that the Mall of America was built over the old Minnesota Twins baseball stadium. And they actually have the home plate still in the Mall of America where the home plate used to be. So I learned that fact, but did not go to the Mall of America.
Quite the fact.
You're welcome. And then I guess to transition into entertainment on the way there, I watched Civil War, which I know is a movie you had seen. I thought it was pretty good. I actually liked that it was not political at all. Which
not really.
I didn't think that was going to be possible, but like it's tough because it's not really a spoiler, but it's California and Texas have joined up to like secede and fight against the United States. So when they do it that way, it's really difficult to figure out who it is, like what side that would be, because obviously California and Texas lie on two different colors pretty heavily. So I thought that was actually really good, and they never really get into it either. So I thought that was a really good job of avoiding all of that and still making it a pretty compelling and frankly like somewhat realistic movie. Like watching that movie, I kind of thought like, fuck, this could definitely happen. Like this
Which is
could
the
be
point
a
of
near future scenario.
which is the point of the movie, right? Is it's supposed to be like, look, this happens elsewhere, and it wouldn't take that much for this to start to happen in the U.S. or any other Western country. Like you can feel like, no, our democracy is so secure, and there's no way we could have a civil war again. And yeah, the premise of the movie is to say, oh, maybe think about that a little bit. Like it can happen. I enjoyed it for probably the first 80%. And then I just found like they didn't land the ending really.
Oh, you didn't like the Zero Dark 30, like get the president kind of thing.
Not really. I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like the movie needed that part. And I know that part of this, I guess spoilers, but yeah, the Kirsten Dunst character dying and her sort of protege not caring about her is supposed to be symbolic. And then equally her friend not really caring, the guy who was in Narcos,
Yeah.
him not caring was supposed to be, and then him just wanting the quote as the president's about to be killed. But I don't know, I felt like that's to me where the symbolism became too strong. It's like everything was very subtle, and now you're hitting me over the head with a sledgehammer trying to drive home the symbolism. And I could have maybe done without that, but I enjoyed it. But I just wish I could have edited that movie and just had it end with them as they're going into Washington. And I think it's like a better movie just at that point.
Yeah. I thought it was good. I didn't mind it. And then I started to watch The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling. But then that ended, or the flight ended before. And I was going to watch it on the return flight, but then college football got in the way of that. So,
yeah, well, entertainment news for me, TV watching wise, I've started watching the next season of The Rings of Power.
Ooh, already. Look at this guy.
I enjoy it so much more than House of the Dragon. Like
wow.
It's I actually feel like this season could be better. I've only watched one episode, so I don't want to go. I think 3 episodes are out at the moment. I've only watched.
Did they give a big, like previously on? It's got to be like a 5-minuter.
I never watched previously on, so I.
How do you know what fuck happened?
I just remember. I just have a memory. And I don't mind watching and being like, oh yeah, that guy. The interesting thing obviously is you had the one major change in character, and that you see that like opening scene. It's the
leader of the Aurochs, right?
Yeah, exactly. And scene number 1, it's like, oh, it's the different guy, and it's not immediately obvious that he's a replacement, although they look obviously quite similar in terms of what they're, how they're supposed to be. But yeah, I started watching that, enjoying episode 1 was good. I enjoy, just overall, I enjoy it more than the whole Game of Thrones stuff.
Yeah, I like Rings of Power too, and I plan on watching it. So I'll catch up, and then we can have a little recap, because they did what? They dropped the first 3, and then it's going to be weekly, I think.
I believe so. Yeah, every Thursday.
So I'll try and catch up before the next one.
And then in other entertainment news, I caved. I was part of the craze surrounding Oasis. I bought Oasis tickets on Saturday morning. It's the closest I'll get to being a Swiftie, probably, was that moment of going on Ticketmaster and waiting in line for quite a significant period of time to buy my tickets. I have to admit, I did not encounter any. There's been a lot of people very, very upset with the Ticketmaster experience. I only bought 2 in the end. You're allowed to buy a maximum of 4. And I got to.
You didn't want to make some money.
Well, they made a big deal out of the fact that, like, look, you're going to have to, any ticket not resold through Ticketmaster isn't going to be, we'll cancel it, and you can only sell tickets at face value. And part of me also was like, it's a scummy thing to do anyway. Like, I'll just buy the tickets I want. And I had such a relatively easy, tickets went on sale 10 a.m. here. And I opened the tab because I actually thought, because the email I got said 9 a.m. I thought they meant 9 a.m. here. So I kind of opened my tab to kind of get in line at like 8:30, realized my mistake, and then just sort of went away from my computer and just left the tab open. And then when at nine, I clicked to join the queue, and yeah, there was like 18,000 people in front of me, and it took 70 minutes for me. I mean, I wasn't staring at the screen. I was going away and doing other things. I just left the tab open, and after 70 minutes, I got through and I bought my tickets. And I thought that was it took longer than I thought it was going to take, because my mind was like, it's either going to sell out in 30 minutes and I'm not getting a ticket, or I'm going to get a ticket fast. So I was surprised by the 70-minute in that regard. But I thought it was so easy that when I then got through, I was like, well, no one I know who wants to go to this will not have got their ticket. And I bought them, and then posted that I got them. And the number of people who messaged me being like, do you have a spare ticket? I tried. There were 250,000 people in line ahead of me when I joined.
Wow.
My browser like refreshed midway through. Ticketmaster crashed. Like, then I was like, oh, I should have bought 4.
I mean, it's going to be, yeah. And the funny part is, like 3 weeks before the tour starts, when they break up again and there's no tour, it's going to be all for nothing.
Yeah. And look, the tickets weren't expensive, but they weren't, it was like £300 for 2 tickets, including fees. They're just standing. Like, I'm going to the opening Manchester concert in Manchester. So it's like, it's all standing. It's not in an arena. So you're just in a park. So, that's a lot of money I will probably end up being 300 yards away from them, like watching it basically on a big screen. Like, I'm under no illusions, because I'm not going to bother to get up. I'm not going to show up at 9 a.m. to wait in line to try and be at the front. And I'm not going to, as soon as the door opened, like sprint towards the stage in the hope of getting there. So I'm going to be miles away, but it will be a little bit of an experience. Part of me hated myself for buying them, because I did feel like I was just part of a craze, and I never liked being part of crazes. So that was like, there was a slight moment of self-love.